about how to save in your credit card processing fees and how to select a credit card company. We're taking it to the streets with Ann from the Little House Shop Stationers, and I appreciate you taking the time today. I was wondering if you could just tell me a little bit about how you chose your processor for the Little House Shop.
Sure, Mike. We went to our local bank, and they gave us this machine here that we've been using for several years now.
Excellent. And what made you go to the local bank? That's very common. A lot of retailers out in the country do decide to just work with their bank. Can you tell me a little bit about why you chose your bank?
Yes, we have a great relationship with our bank, and over the years we trust them, and this is the machine that they recommended.
Well, that's, like I said, very common, as I said before, but the reality of it is a lot of banks do not want to process. There's not a lot of margin in credit card processing, and they're focusing more on the loans. So in a situation like this, they're not really interested in giving you the best way to process. Looking at this machine alone, I've got very bad news for you. This is a very old machine. Have you had any issues at all with this machine where you might have had some concerns?
Well, it does tend to be very slow, and especially at the holiday season, when we are putting through credit cards, we have customers that are impatient and don't always want to wait for the length of time it takes to perform a transaction.
Well, I would look out there. I would look and see, do any of you have this type of machine? Do these experiences that Ann's mentioning sound familiar? Having to wait to transact and sell product is not good. So what I would recommend is to become more efficient, is to get a new machine. There's a lot of technology out there that will allow you to process quicker and at lower rates. One of the advantages of working with a direct processor is that that's all they do. Their customer service, their pricing is all about how to make you save money and understand the business. As I said, a lot of banks do not do that, just not their focus. It's not that they're not great, just not their focus. One of the items that I would like to take a look at would be the the contract that you signed. I'm going to pull out my magnifying glass here. As you know, there's a lot of small print and statements.
There is.
Do you have any?
Well, when we first read our contract, we went over it, made sure that the rates were accurate, and then we signed.
Well, that's very common. Because of the length of these contracts, it's so hard for owners to really understand what they're signing. So what I'd like to do is encourage everyone out there to go find their statement. We're going to kind of walk through it together, see some of the things that jump out, and see if we might be able to save retailers out there as well. So when looking at the statement, looking at the contract, we'll see the rates. Now, you had mentioned that you just looked at the rates, they looked right, and you signed.
Yes.
Also, I see a transaction fee. Your transaction fee appears to be a little bit high, and I think that we should take a look at that as you move forward.
Sure.
As we mentioned a little bit earlier, debit transactions are the most common transactions in the market right now. Do you see people utilizing checks at all in your store?
Not as much anymore. We definitely see more debit cards than checks.
Great. Well, that's very common. It's an industry-wide scenario that we see, and the reason being is that the money is still withdrawn from their bank account, just like a check, but the convenience aspect is there. So by looking at your contract, you do not have that debit rate. So you're actually paying what a standard credit card rate would be, which would mean more money for them. I also notice a minimum bill charge. Now for you, being a high volume location, you would not have that come into play. But smaller retailers who might not transact on a frequent basis initially when they open, that $25 fee could be something that would come back to bite them. Ann, take a look at this, an early termination fee. Do you have any thoughts on what that might be, and do you recall seeing that on the contract?
No, I do not.
An early termination fee is actually designed to make money if you try to get out of your contract. Do you know if you had a binding contract when you signed this?
I am not sure, but I would like to ask you, does that mean there is no way out for us at this point with this contract?
Well, let's just take a quick look, and I'm going to flip through the many pages of this contract, and we'll look through a lot of the small print. And in flipping through, I see here that you have a term of 3 years. I don't know if you see that there,
Yes.
but again, that's on the 5th page, so it's certainly not anything you're going to notice when you sign the document. I've seen termination fees up to 5 years, and back to what you had said, that termination fee would come into play when you try to get out of your contract. Any thoughts on that termination fee or where that might not be?
Well, I would love to know how that is possible then to switch from this contract to another opportunity?
Excellent question. That's something that I hear out in the road a lot, and customers are hesitant because they don't want to pay that $250 or in some instances $500, $1,000. Well, the reality of it is if you're working with a great processor, you're going to save thousands and thousands of dollars a year, especially when I see that there's opportunities that you're not being offered. So what I would say is do the analysis, and if you see a $3,000 savings, do you think it would make sense to pay $250 to get out of that contract?
Yes.
So, and that's what I want to encourage everyone out there. So as you look through everything and you work with a processor, see what the savings would be before you actually say, no, I can't. I've got another year to go.
Okay.
So I would like to thank Ann for allowing us to come in and be a very gracious guinea pig as we've looked through how you picked your processor by going to your local bank, the type of old machines that you're currently using, and some of the negatives of how you process at the holiday time. So again, saving money, it's there. We just want you to know all about how to save money and the fees that you should not pay. So again, I'm Mike Schaefer, here with Ann Henderson from the Little House Shop, taking it to the streets, helping you save money, understand how to select credit card companies, and to not pay the fees that are very common in our industry.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Ann. Appreciate it.
I invite you to view the other segments on credit card processing. After all, they were created just for you. Go ahead and type credit card processing in the search box to help you get there more easily. After all, we're all about helping retailers grow. Thanks for watching. I'm Brittany Lund with the Gift and Home Channel.